versus Tank Davis. What an incredible fight. Yeah, I don't know. So honestly, Frank Martin, right? Let's talk about him for a second. Started off great. Won the first 3 rounds. Came out with a great game plan. Jab, cross, jab. Move in the right direction. Holding the phone, right? As he's moving to his left. Very intelligent. Very smart boxing. That definitely didn't stop that left uppercut from landing, which was the key punch to finish the fight. But he held on for a really long time. He was in the lead. Definitely was in the lead, but that's not different or anything new for Gervonta Davis to be comfortable letting somebody win rounds, which I think is going to come back to haunt him later in his future with what looks like his next few opponents lined up are going to be. Now, I will say this. Frank Martin fought a very good fight. He lost a little bit of his discipline, I would say, as the fight progressed. That's usually what happens. You know, Leo Santa Cruz, Rolly Romero, Frank Martin, right? They tend to be winning the fight. And then they get a little careless or a little, overconfident. And that's how Frank Martin got baited in to get hit with that left uppercut. Now, it didn't seem at all like Tank Davis wasn't in control the whole time. There was an eerie feeling of he kind of knew what he was doing. There was just a lot of experience that Tank carried into that ring that Frank Martin didn't have. You got a guy who started boxing at 6 to 8 years old versus a guy who started at 20. You got a guy with 300 amateur fights versus a guy with very few amateur fights, I'm sure. Now, doesn't mean that Frank Martin didn't develop very well as a professional, but you could see there was a discrepancy in the experience, man. Now, what I'm going to come here and say is, I will say Frank Martin fought a great fight, and I think he drew a game plan. On how to beat Tank. You know, if you're Shakur Stevenson, you're salivating at watching that fight. This fight kind of made me think that Shakur Stevenson beats Tank Davis. I think Shakur Stevenson beats Tank Davis. I don't think he gets caught with that left uppercut. I don't think he gets caught at all. I think Shakur beats him. Now, this is a new opinion that I have. I think originally, if you would ask me this question 6 months ago, I would have said Tank would beat him. And I wouldn't be too surprised if Loma could pull it off as well, even at 36 or 37, whenever it happens. Now, I will say this. Knockout of the year. Knockout of the year so far. That'll be 2 under for Tank's belt. 2 knockouts of the year, plus a backflip to kick it off. Doesn't get much better than that. Now, I will say this. Frank Martin got nothing to be ashamed about. It was a big risk. You could tell he was a little scared going into the fight. You could tell he was a little scared going into the weigh-in. You could tell Tank was winning every exchange leading up to the fight. He won the weigh-in. He won the press conference. It just seemed like he was in his head. It just seemed like he knew something we didn't know. And now we know what he knew. But we got to give credit to Frank Martin for putting up a great fight while it lasted. But the better man won. And for those of you out here saying that Tank didn't do well, I don't really know what you're talking about, right? You can't really do much better than knocking somebody the fuck out, right? And making them into a human highlight reel. Nobody's talking about the rounds he lost anymore, right? But what I will say is, I think Shakur might be a problem, all right? I don't think he gets by Shakur. I think he could beat a Leon Battle. Duh. I think he'll beat a Prograis. I think he'll beat, a lot of the other lefty competition. But, I would like to see him fight Loma or Shakur. I think he's going to fight Loma. It just is an easier fight to be made. It's an easier fight to win. And it's an easier fight to not lose. Shakur, nobody wants to fight Shakur. He's not very exciting, and he's going to beat you. So, that being said, congratulations to Tank Davis, though. Congratulations. I ain't hating. I'm just saying, Shakur might be that dude. We got to see that fight. Now, you guys can let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought about that performance. Pretty epic. Pretty hard to beat. But it does seem to be a pattern that Tank is falling into, giving away those early rounds. Now, when you get somebody that you give away too many early rounds to, that comes back to bite you. He hasn't had anybody come back to bite him yet. But there are a couple guys out there circulating in those rumors that might come back to bite you. Congratulations to Tank Davis. Excellent performance. But you got to be careful, because shit's getting real. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you guys think. I always respond to the comments. Thank you guys for the love.